Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
When you love two things as much as I do love farming, it's difficult to choose. But I could not see myself functioning without either of them.
Dr. Richard Watson, doctor, farmer, and cricketer.
I'm on my farm in Ebony Park, Breadnut Valley. It is part of an agro park which is located in the area, the Ebony Park Agro Park.
Who is Dr. Watson?
Well, Dr. Watson, I like to say, is a country boy, born in West Kingston in 1966. Grew up in the hills of Clarendon. My family settled in a district named Orange River. I'm married to a country girl from Mount Moriah and St. Anne's. We have 2 kids. I went to Clarendon College. I'm a member of the class of 83, a very cordial group and a very productive group, a very patriotic group. I love sports. I love cricket. I still play my cricket. I play a lot of masters cricket around. I'm as much known as a doctor as known as a cricketer. I played Deadly Cup for 5 years.
You won? Any?
We never won. I thought 1 year we would have won Deadly Cup, but we were kicked out of the competition for no good reason. And I'm sure that year we would have beaten Stets, our long-time rival. I played schoolboy cricket for 5 years, and the only schoolboy team that ever beat us, including teams from the urban area, was St. Elizabeth Technical High School. And those guys were still very good friends. With our rivalry in Masters cricket lives on. I went to the National Youth Trials in 1985. I wasn't successful in making the national team at the time. And that might have caused me to decide to go and study, because I realized then that you could not play sports and be successful playing sports in Jamaica as an unemployed person, because our sports, cricket at least, wasn't a professional game at the time. You could not make a living from playing the game, so you would seek other options. So I went away. I studied medicine in Cuba, and came back, resumed playing cricket. And if it wasn't for an injury, then I thought I would have made the national team. I'm a very outdoors person, so it was only natural for me to have a significant outdoor activity. And what better outdoor activity to have other than farming? In farming, other than just enjoying being in the outdoors, it is a source of income. So it serves 2 purposes. Firstly, I got the land to lease from the Agro Invest Corporation, which is a government agency. I've been farming in Ebony Park for upwards of 8 years, although I used to farm in other areas before. We get the land to lease, and we are supplied with irrigation water through the National Irrigation Commission, because going into farming without water makes no sense. You have to have irrigation water. It can be challenging in terms of the NIC meeting the demands of the farm, but for most part we are able to survive on the water that we do get. My philosophy of farming is mixed agriculture. So I mix perennial crops, tree crops like avocado, coconut, ackee, with catch crops like mainly hot pepper, West Indian red hot pepper, and scallion. I also do cassava, and I will plant any crop I have a market for, because for most crops it's just about learning the correct husbandry and doing what needs to be done.
Okay, you said as long as you have a market, but you do your practice. So when do you get time to look market? Because I think your doctor take up most of your time, right?
Yeah. I'm a member of the Ebony Park Agro Cooperative 2016 Limited. We do most of our marketing through Ebony Park Agro Cooperative as a group. It makes it easier because then we can package our stuff and deliver them as a group. And that makes a more efficient use of time. Because as you rightly said, I would not have the time to do all the deliveries. Generally, especially in the summer months when the mornings are quite long, I would be on my farm from like 5 o'clock and might be spend 2.5 hours, and then I get home, get ready, and rush to work by 8. And so when in the shorter months now, sometimes I have to go to the gym because it's not possible to come to the farm to do my early morning exercise because I do work on my farm. There are some crops that I planted earlier which I would not plant them again even though I have them. Like June plum because they are not readily marketable. Breadfruit, it's not readily marketable. And the markets are very seasonal and it's a challenge to market crops like those. So I've progressively shifted from those crops into coconut, which is a much more marketable crop. I got into coconut production because of a friend who had a coconut water factory, and he had to go to Portland and the hills of St. Catherine to get coconut for his factory. So he encouraged me and got me the first set of coconut suckers to get into coconut production. Well, jelly, because jelly is the main thing I sell. I do sell some dry coconut, but mainly jelly. He buys from me at regular intervals. And we have other market like the little jelly man on the corner. I do a lot of sales to those persons as well.
How being a medical doctor assists you as a farmer?
Well, being a medical doctor, you know, we learn a lot of biochemistry and mechanism of how things work. You become very aware of how things work and what they do. You know that, for example, I try to use bioselective substances. That's a concept that you would have learned a lot in medicine, where, for example, a spray is not just a spray. A weedicide is not just a weedicide. If, for example, you have a field that is full of grass and your plant, the plant you're having is not related to the grass family, knowing that there's a bioselective weedicide that could get rid of the grass and possibly cost you less than doing it using manual labor like people weeding can be very helpful. So being trained as a doctor, I think, puts me in a position where I can actually be more scientific in my approach to farming, because the animal, which we are a part of, is a living being. A plant is just another living being. So a lot of the concepts that would apply to taking care of a human can be applied to taking care of plants.
You have been in this for 8 years. How long have you been a doctor?
24. Okay,
what lessons have you learned along the way?
With the COVID challenge and the need for social distancing, some of my colleagues has encouraged me to host meetings on my farm. And it has been going very well so far, and we have had 2 meetings and we'll be having a next one because of popular demand. Because it's an outdoor area, so in future, as I remember when I applied for the land to lease from AIC, you know, part of my plan was to include some amount of entertainment on the farm. So I plan to, might be in the not too distant future, have a few cabanas for rent and things like that, and might be able to host events like weddings and so on in the future, because it was always part of my plan. So when they asked me for this, I said, this is a training opportunity for me.
If I should ask you which of the 2 professions you love the most, what should you say and why?
Well, when you love 2 things as much as I do love farming, it's difficult to choose. But I could not see myself functioning without either of them.
From what you have been doing over the 8 years, any insight, any advice?
Well, when you get into farming, you have to be open to learn. I read as much about farming as I do about medicine in order to keep up to date. There are always new substances coming, new pesticides coming in that you have to learn about. Just like in medicine, there are always new drugs, things like that. So it is important for you to come with an open mind. Make sure that you are prepared to work. Make sure that you are prepared to ride it out when things are tough, because in agriculture and farming, the difficult times are many. Whenever you hear of a trough or a tropical depression or a hurricane coming, you know that is a challenge. That's a challenging time because quite often after those natural events, even more so than a drought, it's like you have to start over again. And you could have a field and you're counting the profits from that, potential profits from that field. And within 24 hours of a good shower, you would have lost. And you have to pick up the pieces and start again. So two things you have to be prepared to rally back after the setbacks, and you have to be prepared to read and to learn and to make use of traditional information from people who generally farm in the area. You start in your farm, you have to make certain you establish a good relationship with your extension officer, that is your RADA extension officer. And remember one thing, treat your workers well. If you have loyal workers, you might be halfway into having a successful farm. Without loyal workers, you will never have a successful farm.
Finally, a pharmacy for HIV patients. Jamaica Aid Support for Life, JASL, yesterday opened its pharmacy, indicating that it will help eliminate the fear of discrimination among people living with HIV who try to access medication. Named Life's Work Pharmacy is located at the organization's Kingston office and will also facilitate people in need of other medication. It is a full pharmacy and we accept all health cards. I would encourage everyone to come and support us because we're hoping that whatever we're able to earn from this pharmacy will go back and support the efforts of our organization, JASL's Executive Director Livermore stated in the opening ceremony. Livermore noted that the aim was to create a one-stop place for HIV clients. One of the challenges we had is that our clients would get the medical services, lab services, psychosocial services here, but they wouldn't be able to get the prescription filled. So it is very important for us because now the clients will leave with their antiretroviral drugs, so this closes the gap for us fully, she said. Livermore noted that clients would usually raise the issue about the absence of a pharmacy at JASL, especially since they felt uncomfortable picking up their medications at other drugstores. It was a very sore point for them. They complained about the wait time and the fact that they have to open their lives to a whole lot of persons to get the drugs. They are so elated about the pharmacy and they can't believe because they will literally exit the doctor's office and go straight into the pharmacy, she said, noting that it will be open from Mondays to Saturdays. Jamaica Fire Brigade plans to increase staff. The Jamaica Fire Brigade, JFB, has announced plans to increase its staff complement through the addition of new positions in the upcoming fiscal years. Speaking with reporters, JFB Commissioner Stuart Beckford said the brigade staff complement of uniformed and non-uniformed personnel stands at approximately 2,164, with the number of uniformed firefighters hovering at 1,868. We are currently undertaking a reconstructing exercise, and coming out of that exercise will be some additional numbers in terms of our overall staff complement. There are an additional 151 new positions to come on stream over the next 2 financial years, Beckford revealed. Persons interested in joining the Jamaica Fire Brigade are advised to visit its website at jfb.gov.jm, where the relevant information on eligibility and the application process can be found. Among the eligibility criteria are a minimum of 5 Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CXC subjects or equivalent. However, Beckford said that having specialized skill sets gives applicants a greater advantage. We are also interested in persons who may have certain skills set that we are desirous of, for example, mechanics and drivers, as those are always in demand, artisans, electricians, plumbers, and those kinds of skill set. We are interested in persons who have those, he stated. Upgraded Flanker Health Center in St. James reopened. The upgraded Flanker Health Center in St. James was being officially reopened. The facility was rehabilitated at a cost of $47.3 million Jamaican dollars under the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, Poverty Reduction Program, PRP, with funding by the European Union, EU. Included in the scope of work are 2 new consultations rooms, 2 treatment rooms, a health inspector's office, an administrative office, new roofing, and perimeter fencing. The health center serves more than 3,000 residents in flanker and neighboring communities. It will also serve as a vaccination center in the community. Speaking at the reopening on Wednesday, Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton lauded JSIF, the EU, and the other agencies involved in the rehabilitation program, noting that public health and primary health care is everybody's business. I am a strong advocate for a partnership as it relates to healthcare, whether it is private sector, public sector, donors, supporters, NGOs, or development agencies. No one entity or agency can do it. It's everybody's business and also a personal responsibility, he said. Tufton emphasized that the government is committed to the development of the country's healthcare system and urged residents to work with staff at the facility to help promote and improve the primary healthcare process. We say to the community, work with them, preserve the infrastructure, and see them as partners, he said. In the meantime, Managing Director of JSIF, Omar Sweeney, indicated that the rehabilitation of the Flanker Health Center was completed in April of this year, where it went smoothly, came in on time and on budget. He praised the EU for its continued funding since the PRP was established more than 20 years ago. For her part, Flanker resident Marian Ferguson reported that the center is a welcome improvement to the community. She argued that also, utilizing the facility as a vaccination center would boost the number of persons who are inoculated against COVID-19. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.